Hi everyone, Corey here from the Knitting All the Blankets podcast, and this is not going to be a full episode, just so you know. Actually, hang on. Okay, sorry. I started filming this and realized I left two very essential things over there. So, this isn't going to be a full podcast episode. This is a post-Italy trip episode, show you the knitting that I did while over in Italy, plus all the yarn I got. And I wanted to film it soon instead of in a few weeks when my August episode came out, because I really want to get this yarn. Okay, thunder. I really want to get this yarn into quarantine. We got back. Today is Saturday, July 21st, right? Yeah, sounds right. We got back from Italy 3:30 Thursday morning. And when I say we got back, I mean we were back in this house 3:30 Thursday morning, July 19th. So, if you're interested in finding out how that trip went, I will do my best to remember to link the other video I'm going to film about this on my other channel down here, down in the description box. So yeah, if you guys remember from either my June or July episode, I talked about how I was going to take the sugar and cream cone of Ahoy Ombra with me to Italy, and it was going to be in my wonderful reversible Doctor Who bag from my friend Tiffy. And you know, when I started, this was a full cone. This is what's left. I did this morning. So that means on my trip I knit 7 dishcloths. And I'm showing these to you now for another reason, since they would usually be in my finished objects thread in the August episode. Is when I told the group yesterday, we used the app called WhatsApp to communicate with each other and have like a big group text. And I said, hey, I made 7 dishcloths while on the trip, because, you know, everybody was watching me knit these, like, on the plane, on the train, in the car, in the rain, blah, blah, blah. I can make a Dr. Seuss rhyme right now. So I made 7 of them. Ends are already woven in, by the way. And one of the trip coordinators said, hey, I want to buy them. Okay. So I wove the ends in a little bit ago, and come Monday, I am going to send them to her via intercampus mail, because we went through the college I work at. This whole trip was through the college. And so, yeah. So that's 7 made and 7 sold. I'm debating on whether or not to add these to my dishcloths made count for, you know, my craft show list. I mean, technically, I made them. I'll think about it. But isn't this very Miami Dolphins colors? It really is. So I've started the 8th dishcloth. I've got this much on the cone left. And when I was looking in my my cotton stash, I noticed that I had some balls of this as well. And I don't know how many balls, because they're like all jumbled together in one of the cubes. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'm not going to put it away. I'm not going to put the little ball away yet. I'm going to go get all those balls out, and I'm going to keep knitting it, because I've got it. I might as well. So 7 made and sold already, so that's awesome. And I really did knit on the plane. I was a little worried. Had to pull my leg up so I can sit crisscross applesauce. I was a little worried about getting my knitting needles through TSA. I am always worried about getting my knitting needles through airport security. I know what TSA says, I know what the airlines say, but all it takes is one TSA agent on a power trip and they're going to take my needles from me. So, I did a lot of knitting. It was our flight to Italy was Fort Lauderdale to Chicago and Chicago to Rome. So I got probably 2 or 3 dishcloths in it then. And then we took various trains because we did Rome to Florence, Florence to Venice, Venice to Rome. Or Rome to Florence, Florence to Venice, Venice to Rome. If you're looking at a map of Italy. And I did a lot of knitting on the train. I was going to do writing on the train. If you follow my other YouTube channel, you know I've gotten back into my writing, and I was planning on doing a lot of writing on this trip. No writing happened, only knitting. So, and then when we flew back, it was Rome to Dulles in Washington, D.C., and then Dulles to Fort Lauderdale. And I live in Central Florida, not Fort Lauderdale, so it was also a 4-hour drive. I did not knit on the drives, not because I was driving, but because I was too tired both ways. Yeah. So, all right, so that was that fun. And I'm impressed with how many dishcloths I did get knit. We were gone for 7 days. And so I essentially knit a dishcloth, averaging out a dishcloth a day, even though that isn't actually how it worked. So, what fun stuff did I get? As much as I would like to show you this stuff in order, I don't remember what I bought in what order. So I'm just going to start with the stuff nearest me. No, that stuff that's all Florence. This is Rome, right? Yeah. All right. This first set are 3 balls of this. Aren't they pretty? And the label's coming off this one, but it is a Silky by RVA. I'm going to butcher this, by the way. Grasso Bivo Bergamo, Italy. www.silk with an e at the end.it. It is 50 grams. Each one of these is 50 grams. It is 100% merino wool. So all of these are merino wool. And it's got a cute little sheep on the label. Isn't that cute? Colorway 139, lot 508, if anybody's interested. I will put as much of this information in the show notes as I can, including the address of the shop that I bought it at. I bought it at Lana della Vecchia on Via dei Bulari, 31, Roma. Italian addresses are interesting, so I will put as much of the information as I can in the show notes. So this was my first yarn purchase, and it's so soft. I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm thinking cowls or shawls right now. So yeah, so that's that stuff. The next, I went several yarn shops in Rome, but we did Rome 2 different times. And then, so the next place we went was Florence. And the stuff in Florence was awesome. So I went to Mirko Filati. This is on the Piazza San Lorenzo, behind the Medici Chapel. And they actually gave me their business cards. Some of these I have business cards for, some I don't. And what I bought there, they were shabby microfiche fibra, so microfiber, 45% cotton, 55% acrylic. Each of these are 150 grams. It says made in the EU. And again, that's, okay, it's the same company. You guys see that? It's the same company that did this. Okay? So these are like cakes. I saw them and they reminded me of like the Caron cakes. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these either. Probably a quick like little shawlette scarf thingy. Don't know yet. And these were 12 euros a piece. These, I don't remember. I think they were 3 euros a piece, so I spent 9 euros on all three of those. And that was my first yarn purchase in Florence. The second one was, I'm going to hold the bag up because it has the company name on it. Now this place, one thing I will say, I need to preface this, yarn shops in Italy are not like yarn shops here in America or even in the UK. The first shop I went to, Lana della Vecchia, and I'm butchering that, and I do apologize. They just had a few things of yarn. Like, it was a partial yarn shop and also like a bathing suit shop. There were also a lot of stores that I checked out where when you walked up to them, they were lingerie stores with like a shoebox full of yarn. I'm like, I don't get it. If anybody out there in internet land understands why in Italy, it seems, yarn is combined with a lingerie store, please let me know, because we couldn't figure it out, and I am not fluent enough in Italian to be able to communicate this to the salespeople to understand why. I will say this, Mirko Filati, that was a yarn store like I was used to here in the States. I didn't find it the first time around. We had to walk around twice because the street numbering system in Italy is interesting. And where 36 should have been, there was nothing. And it was actually farther up and along a different side. And honest to God, the only reason why I found this shop is because there was like scaffolding in front of the doorway because they're redoing part of the building. And there was a big sign that said Filati, which is the Italian word for yarn. And I recognize that. I can't say much in Italian, but I can say yarn. And I like ran across the piazza to it. And down there, we had one of the other people on the trip who spoke more Italian than I did. She went down with us, and while I was like playing around in what stock they had, she was communicating with the owner, and Pam told me that the owner was actually apologizing for the lack of stock. They haven't had a lot of business because of all the construction, so they're not keeping a lot of stock right now. So that was okay. I got these two things, and they're brilliant, and they're soft, and they're wonderful. Okay, so on to this. This shop was the start of where it kind of got a little weird for me with yarn. I walked in, and right when you walked in, there were these plastic bins that said €1, €2, €3 on them, and they were cones, cardboard cones like these, but with what I would call remnants of yarn. They weren't full cones. There were maybe a couple yards of yarn. on each one. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then they had this like industrial coner machine or baller machine, and I'm walking around, and then they had this rack, this round like clothing rack, where they had these huge like 3 foot, they weren't hanks because they weren't twisted, but you know the loops of yarn that you then twist into hanks, like 3 foot things of that just hanging, and those were pretty cool. Those were mostly hand spun from what I could tell, and they were 50-50 wool acrylic blend, but that was about it. And I'm like, okay, kind of disappointed. But then I started communicating with the salesperson, and the way they do it in Italy apparently is they don't really have open shelves for you to go like touch and feel and stuff. They ask you wool or cotton. Apparently, if it's anything that's not cotton is considered wool. Even if it's acrylic, it's considered wool. So I'm like, okay, cotton. Let's see what they have in cotton. Because I didn't really want wool, but I then learned. And I went through and she brings out this binder. And it has like these dividers in it that you fold out, and it's got yarn samples. And how much each thing costs, which ones are available, the dyer, all that stuff. So the one I picked out was this. This is 100% cotton. Look at that. Look at these colors. And they had a sample of this knit up. That's why I bought it. It was so pretty. So pretty. It's 100 grams. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm made in Italy. So I'm probably going to make it into like a little like handkerchief for my head or something. I don't know yet. But also at the same time, you know, I went back to those bins at the front of the remnants because I'm like, oh, how much fun would that be to, in my random acrylic 10-stitch blanket, because I've got another one of those in the works, if I put some yarn from Italy in that. Or I even have a personal 10-stitch blanket that I will make one of these days. And that one isn't anything in particular. That one is just yarn that means something to me. So I picked out like 5 different cones of yarn, and they're not on cones anymore, just for space saving in the suitcase. But I picked these 5 out, and in the meantime, all right, there are those 3. Those 2 are the same color, and then I've got these. Sorry. I love these 2. And in the meantime, I had actually pulled up on my phone the picture of the Frankie Brown 10-stitch blanket that I had made. So, because through Pam, she helped me communicate that I do scrap projects and I like using little bits of yarn to create big things. And when I showed him that picture, it was like, oh, bellissima, very pretty, all that. So I got this and all those little balls. All the little balls. And when they told me the total, I was actually in shock. €7.40. So €7.40. Excuse me? As far as I can tell, and what I'm assuming, and I may be wrong, because this does not have a price on it, they charged me for this sorry for the crinkling, and then just gave me this stuff because I Philip thinks it's because, you know, I showed him the picture and that I'm an enthusiast and all that stuff. I'd like to think he's right. So I'm putting this stuff back in this bag so it doesn't keep rolling around. So that was my first go around with a yarn shop like that, and that was kind of weird. The last yarn shop I went to, I actually went to it twice. It was Merceria Alphys. Again, I will put the names and if there is an appropriate website in there. When I walked in there, it was obviously a fabric store. Because there's fabric everywhere, but no yarn. And through Pam coaching me and how to ask, I asked about yarn and said, oh yeah, cotton or wool. And I'm like, okay, cotton. And they led me to another room, pulled out a binder, and showed me, and I got to flip through it. I'm like, okay, maybe this is just how this is done over here. So I picked out a few colors of cotton, and picked out 5 colors actually. Am I going to be able to hold all of them? Probably not. But they're really pretty. They're thin too. So I got all these. They're 50 grams each. What else can I learn about this thing? 100% cotton. Nothing about where it's made. I'm assuming this is made in Croatia. This is Croatian cotton. So it won't be used for dishcloths for me, but it's also really, really thin. So I wouldn't use it for that either. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this stuff yet. I love these 2 colors together though. So those are going to be pretty. Again, shawlette, scarf thingy maybe. So I got that the first day. Stick that there. The next day I went back and I said, wool. Let me see what they have in wool. So it's the same brand. It's the Lano Gatto. Super soft. And it is really soft, people. And I got 3 colors. Stay. I got 2 of these pink, 2 of these multicolored orangey brown ones, and then 1 of this purple. So these are really soft, you guys. They feel nice next to my face. 100 pure merino wool. So, again, 50 gram balls. And this stuff is made in Italy. So this is Italian merino wool. So 2 of those. 2 in this nice pink. It's actually darker than what it looks like on camera. It's more of a deep magenta than a bright magenta. And then I really wish they had had another one of these purple ones, but they didn't. But look at the variegation in that. Isn't that pretty? So yeah. Okay, so that's all the yarn I got from Italy, and holy crap, I actually made this into like almost full episode length. Was not expecting to do that. Okay, so as much information as I can will be in the show notes. For anybody wondering why the July episode does not have a thread on Ravelry, because I suck and didn't do it. So when I'm doing the show notes for this episode, I'll go back and do the show notes for the last one. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you got any questions, leave them in the the comments below, and I'll try to answer them, okay? I'll talk to everybody later. Bye.